as you all know, I'm Karen. This is Jonathan. I hope that everybody can see us. We're not going to say too much about us. Most of you, I recognize we've met you either at a previous webinar or some of you we're already working with. So if you have any questions later, of course, we can always connect. But today, we really want to talk to you about Sardegna. And as kind of our ethos at Life Beyond the Room, we're going to focus on the southern portion of Sardegna. Sardegna, it's a very still undiscovered destination, especially as far as the American tourism goes. But everybody has probably heard of the Emerald Coast, right? The Costa Smeralda, which is in the north. And of course, where Porto Cervo is, a lot of the more kind of VIPs, resorty style accommodations. Of course, we try to go opposite of where the main tourism goes. So we're going to be sharing with you about some of our favorite places in Sardegna and in the south. Who we are really quickly. I guess you guys, again, already know we're a sensorial DMC. We have a very multicultural, multilingual team. And in every itinerary, every experience we do, our goal is really to share the local culture, the local traditions with the travelers so that we can also help preserve those traditions that are often disappearing. We do a tremendous amount of R&D, and we invite our partner advisors to always ask, hey, have you heard about this place? Or I think that this accommodation could really be on brand for LBR. Are you willing to explore it? We're always willing to add new partners to our directory. So please feel free to reach out with any places that may be on your radar. We provide turnkey itineraries, so we prefer to obviously do the whole thing so that we can control the quality across the process, with accommodations being the only exception. And then we have a local manager that is available 24/7 for our clients while they're traveling. We're here for you if you're looking, again, for turnkey itineraries. You charge a planning fee to your clients. We are a small team of 12. So, of course, with each request, we don't have any pre-made itineraries fit within the box. So we take a tremendous amount of time and we take each request very seriously. So if you charge a planning fee to your client, that shows us their commitment to you. And then we also have a minimum budget of 10K, small group trips. Obviously, that's an exception. It's less lower per person. But of course, that 10K is not going to go very far in June or September on the Amalfi Coast. So we're seeing that obviously that budget is starting to rise. But if you want to go to a place like Sardegna, off the beaten path, maybe a little bit off season, absolutely, we can make that budget work. And then if you value sustainable travel and you like to plan ahead, most of our trips are planned 6 to 8 months ahead. We do have last minute requests. And of course, we can talk about that separately, and you can watch our intro webinar for more information on that. So let's get to the fun part. Let's talk about Secret Sardegna. Well, we're not going to spend too much time on this. For the south, there are several airports in Sardegna that are easily accessible. But for the south, Cagliari, which is the biggest airport, is the easiest city to fly into.
And good information for next year. They are thinking to add a direct flight from the US from New York. So there will be a flight from New York to Cagliari.
Absolutely. Yeah, that'll definitely change things for that area. And they really have been doing such an amazing job at upgrading their accommodations, restoring ancient buildings, because, you know, a few years ago, the tourism in that area of the region was mainly European, Italian, so the standards were quite different. But right now, there's a lot of new accommodations that are coming up that meet kind of the standard that we're looking for. Peak is, of course, July and August. Sardegna still remains very much an Italian crowd destination. It's where Jonathan went growing up for holidays, myself as well, both in Sicily and Sardegna. So because of that high summer season, July and August is really the peak. And then to us, the best time to visit, it's really September and November. In November, people still swim. I
confirm that.
Yeah, a couple months ago, somebody told me, you know, in September, it's going to be too cold to swim. Absolutely not. Like in November, in December, I mean, even in February, sometimes the weather, it's still very warm, especially if you're coming from anywhere in the north in the US, you'll be swimming in the middle of January and February.
And it's pretty empty. After middle of September, it starts to be empty and like it starts to be like a paradise.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I always like to tell people, especially for destinations where there's a lot of Italian tourism, usually schools in Italy reopen that second week of September, like around the 13th, the 15th, and that's when all of those places empty out. So depending on the purpose of the trip, family friendly or not, no kids, that's something good to keep in mind. And of course, to avoid crowds, a lot of the destinations we're going to cover, you'll avoid crowds no matter when you go, but the winter season, it's also really great to go. And hotel closure, a lot of them do close November through March, but we'll talk about a few that are open all year round. And again, if you're looking for the big all-inclusive 5-star virtuoso properties, yes, they're going to be closed. But if you're looking for the more boutique niche properties, then they are really open much longer in the season. And if you have questions, like I said, please feel free to chime in. So what are the challenges? And again, we're going to mainly focus on the south, but just like any other regions in Italy, Sardegna is so rich, and sometimes choosing the right home base, it's very challenging. Connecting between towns, you know, Sardegna, it's one of those places where if your clients do feel comfortable driving, absolutely, outside of the cities, driving is the best way to get around because it can get quite lengthy and pricey to have private transfers the whole way. And then how much time do you really need? Right? It's not one of those places where we at least don't recommend just flying in for a weekend, right? For 3 days. If you live in Italy, yes, but if you're coming all the way from the US, you want to consider spending more time there. All right, you want to talk about your favorite fun fact?
There is a fun fact. A lot of people think the Pecorino Romano is from Rome, but that's not true. It's from the Roman Empire, and that's the reason why there is Romano inside the name. And now all around the world, the production is in Sardegna. And the other fun fact, the people in Sardegna prefer the Pecorino Sardo because yes. And we use the Pecorino Romano a lot in Rome for a lot of recipe for the Roman cuisine. But the Pecorino Romano is from Sardinia, yes.
Absolutely. So I don't know, we like to share a couple of fun facts about the culture. In fact, another fun fact that we didn't put in here is that there are 3 million sheep in Sardinia, which is way more to like 1 million people, right? So there's 3 sheep for each person. I have to be careful when I say that word, but so definitely, you know, if you have people going to Sardinia, and again, clients that are going to Sardinia, they're looking for nature, off the beaten path, stunning beaches. Of course, now, you know, we had a beach in Sardinia that won best beach in the world. So that's going to be getting a lot of attention. But thankfully, that Cala Gorizzè, I don't know if we have it on this presentation, it's very hard to reach. So it's not going to become a place of mass tourism, which I'm really glad. But yeah, this is a destination that it's very laid back, barefoot luxury. And yeah, the cuisine and obviously
and if
the
you like sport
the experience. Yep. So we'll skip through this. You're gonna see a little brand score, and those are some of the things that we score the accommodations on. So we did this webinar a little bit different. We are gonna run you through, of course, some of our favorite partners, but in a way in which we're kind of building an itinerary together. Of course, you know, we ask you to come and do it with us when you have the clients that want to go, but we do want to share those places. And what's important to us is that those places are not for everyone, right? So it's really important to share them with the right clients because not everybody is going to appreciate them. This is just a little map to show you this this whole purple area, and of course Cagliari as well. It's what we consider South Sardinia. We're gonna cover Barumini, which you guys may know as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, where some of the best nauraghe in the regions are. Yeah, so just to give you an idea on the map, and the Costa Smeralda is way north. Anything you want to add?
No, I think it's perfect. Said everything.
Great. I don't know what's going on here, so let me click. Okay. So our first destination that we're going to take you to, so when you fly into Cagliari, the city of Cagliari, it's literally 10 minutes from the airport. So you could start your journey in the city, but this is not a place where, like in Rome, you have to start in the city because it's so chaotic and then kind of slow down. A lot of the times people are choosing Sardinia maybe as a second part of their trip in Italy. Maybe they're spending 1 week on the mainland and then 1 week on the island. So we really recommend starting a little bit more off the beaten path so that we can have an easier airport transfer upon departure. So the first off the beaten path option that we're going to show you, it's an amazing lighthouse, which is only an hour from Cagliari, and it's the southernmost point. It's on the tip of the southernmost point of the island. So it's really, really beautiful. And we're gonna show you here a little video so that you can learn about it. Hopefully you can hear the audio. It's
Buongiorno a tutti, io sono Laura e benvenuti al faro di Capo Spartivento. Adesso ci troviamo all'interno della camera di veglia, un luogo unico, speciale. Era il luogo dove fino a poco più della metà degli anni '80 stavano i faristi prima che il faro fosse automatizzato. Vegliavano qua tutta la notte e controllavano che il faro funzionasse correttamente. Oggi il faro non è solamente un punto di riferimento per i naviganti, ma è una struttura destinata all'ospitalità. È un luogo che unisce storia, bellezza e natura. I lavori di ristrutturazione cominciano nel 2006. L'idea del faro nasce da un piccolo imprenditore di Cagliari. Era il suo sogno da bambino ed è riuscito a realizzarlo. Il faro di Capo Spartivento ad oggi è stato l'unico faro in Italia destinato all'accoglienza, essendo un faro voluto dal re Vittorio Emanuele II, è uno dei 20 fari reali con presidio militare. Abbiamo un totale di 10 camere suddivise in 2 edifici, quindi all'interno del faro abbiamo 4 suite, 2 suite vista mare, 2 vista montagna, 2 dépendance in giardino che sono state ricavate da 2 vecchie cisterne del gas, e nell'altra struttura la residenza dei semaforisti che è stata restaurata più recentemente nel 2016, altre 4 suite. Qui si respira la bellezza ogni giorno, ma anche la responsabilità di valorizzare un luogo così ricco di storia e natura. Ogni ospite che viene qua al faro si porta via qualcosa, ma anche noi riceviamo tanto in cambio. Vi aspettiamo al faro, grazie, a presto.
Let's see. Okay, could everybody hear that? Ooh. Yes, hopefully that's a yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
It's it.
So again, this accommodation is absolutely stunning. It's still working. So at night, as the sun is starting to set, you see the lighthouse turning on, and really you get to live the experience just like it was back in the day, except with a lot more comfort and luxuries. This place, it's not for everyone. Even driving up to it, and maybe we recommend definitely arriving during the day if they have a car, of course, if they have a private driver. Can you guys hear backup?
Yes, there's background music.
Okay, it's a YouTube video. I'm so sorry. Let's see. Let's try this again. Present full screen. Okay, well, thank you for being gracious as we work through the technology every time. So as I was saying, when you arrive, you're gonna be like, what the heck, we're lost? Because this lighthouse is actually inside a nature reserve. And when people come to Sardegna for the unspoiled, beautiful beaches, there's no better place than this nature reserve. You're not gonna have your umbrellas and all your services. That's, we can do that at a later point during the trip. But some of these beaches, even all year, you're gonna be by yourself here. They're amongst the nature reserve. Of course, the locals know them, right? So on the weekends, they're gonna be a little bit busier, but the whole nature reserve is perfect for hiking, getting down to all the little different cala, snorkeling. The lighthouse, of course, it's not for accessibility, it does have stairs. So the Semaforisti suite actually has no stairs, which is the building right next to the main lighthouse. But the rooms inside the lighthouse, which are the ones with the round bed, they are a little bit slightly more elevated than the other ones. They're all on the first and second floor. So there are some stairs, very comfortable. They help you with the bags. But just something to keep in mind. They have an on-site restaurant. They do cooking classes. They do lots of different experiences. So it's not like a B&B where you're off the beaten path and you have nothing to do. People are there all the time, and the food is amazing.
The quality standard is very high.
Yeah, the service is
the people is very nice. They're very nice people there.
Any questions on this accommodation? Great. And they're actually open almost a year. They only close for about a month or so. So again, some of the experiences to do here, we recommend spending 2 to 3 nights here, right? If they just want a little taste, depending on how much time they have, 2 nights. But the people that we've had stay there 2 nights, they said, we wish we had a third. Because of course, one day you're going to hike, one day you're going to relax at the beach, and one day you may take a boat and kind of see the lighthouse from the water, which is also pretty amazing.
I do have a question. Is there a beach that they can walk to from that hotel?
Absolutely, all of them. So because yes, thank you for asking. Great question. Because the hotel, it's in a nature reserve, you can walk to all of the beaches of the reserve. The closest one is probably a 7 to 10 minute walk.
Yes.
But then you can explore all of there's hundreds of beaches within the reserve. Some that are a little bit smaller, some that are a little bit wider. Yes, thank you. Great question. Another experience that's really close by, about 20, 30 minutes away, is the archaeological site of Nora. So again, if you have people that are interested in the history as well, this is a really beautiful site right on the water that can be visited. I'm not going to go through all the details. Of course, you guys are going to get a recording of the presentation so you can read more information. But that's another activity that could quickly fill up those 3 nights as well. All right, so the second option, if you say, okay, the lighthouse, maybe not their style, right? We're going to give you a second off the beaten path option, which is a little bit further north, but still in the south, an hour and a half from Cagliari. And Jonathan, who's actually been there recently, is going to tell us all about it.
So it's very, very off the beaten path. And this is, I think, if you have people who they really want to disconnect and just enjoy the landscape and the nature, it's perfect because you have a nice road to do, like 30 minutes very wild road, so it's like sabbia.
Yeah, sand.
Yeah,
It's the sand dunes, right?
yeah.
Even if you're doing it, that's like
So
dunes.
this accommodation is in the middle of the dune, so they have everything. So every kind of services. They have 2 restaurants. They have an amazing spa. They have a pool. They have a library. They have a cinema. Yes, they have a cinema too. And the quality, it's very high also. And they propose a lot of services for the people who they stay there, because they
like
can
the
do,
quad,
yes, you can do the quad, the boat, the private boat experience too. You can rent a bike, e-bike also. So really, but what the manager told me, it's the people, they come here and they start to book everything. And after like 3 hours, they say, you know what?
I'm just going to relax.
Just want relax.
Yeah.
So.
And guys, what's important to mention about this accommodation, so this has been on our radar for a couple of years, but if you go on Google, please disregard those reviews. This accommodation has been closed for the last year or 2.
Yes.
It was a hotel, but it was, I think, I think it was maybe a 3-star, didn't have great reviews. And then 2 former guests decided to buy the property, and they spent the last couple of years renovating it. It opened recently. I can't remember exactly when, but it just opened again recently. They decided to keep the name, to kind of keep, what it was. But of course, if you
the identity, yes, it's still the same. And all this area was a place where they do le carriere, for the rock.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah, the extractions.
Yeah.
So anyways, if you are curious about this place, happy to tell you more. Also, we can hop on a separate call, but just look at the dates where some of those reviews came from on Google, because they're probably from the previous life of this place. And now it's one of those places where you can go and just relax for, again, 2 or 3 days. So.
And there is no one. I mean, there is no tourist there. There are only people doing maybe some hike, but we are talking about 5 to 10 people. So it's very private place.
They do have 18 rooms. So of course you're not going to be alone, right? Guests are going to have the chance to mingle with like-minded people. But when people say, oh, I want to go to Sardegna for the beaches, I want to relax, I mean, this is an amazing place for that, right? So this is kind of the way we envision a lot of the itineraries we've done. Is you can do, one stay in more of a beach, off the beaten path destination. Again, some of the experiences that they offer here. And then in our case of building a 6 to 7 day itineraries, you will make your way back to Cagliari via, this is very blurry, via a stop that we talked about earlier in Barumini. We always like to take advantage of when people have to check out in the morning and then they can check in, depending on the season, until 2 or 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So a really great kind of activity to do kind of on the way a little bit out, but it's Barumini, again, visiting one of the most ancient sites, a UNESCO World Heritage Site in Sardegna. History lovers, they're gonna love this. There is a park also where you see the photo of the horse about 30 minutes away called Parco della Giara, and they have one of the last remaining wild free ranges horses in the area. So I was lucky enough to witness that. We kept looking for them, and then finally we found them, of course, near the water. And that's also an incredible experience that people can do that may have never thought that they had here. And then, perfect, after a little bit of history, a little bit of wine, which is only 50 minutes away from the site, is this amazing kind of slow wine cantina called Oliana's. Those photos don't really do it justice, but please look it up. They do an amazing job. They do vertical tastings. They also do weddings. So it's actually the location itself. It's very beautiful. They have this vineyard, and then they also have a vineyard in Tuscany, but they're still very small, producing all organic wine, and really, really beautiful experience that way. Then when they have a little bit of the longer drive back to Cagliari, they can just be napping in the car if they have a private driver. So it's only an hour. And then, so starting off the beaten path in one of those 2 locations, and then really spending the last, 3 or 4 days in either Cagliari, the center of Cagliari, which is only, Cagliari is on the water, but it's only 10 minutes from the second picture that you see on the bottom, this mountain shape. It's called the Sella del Diavolo, the saddle of the devil. And so this beach actually has a 7.5 kilometers of lungomare, kind of like beach promenade. So again, you can be in the middle of Cagliari, sleeping at this beautiful accommodation we're going to show you. And then still during the day, go to your beach club 10 minutes away. The whole beachfront is only pedestrian and bike lanes. They have 2 separate lanes, one for pedestrian, one for bike lanes. And this is full of beach clubs, parties at night.
This is the color of the sea during all the year. So
absolutely. So we love, Il Poetto, which is the beach that we just showed you in the picture before, that is 10 minutes from the city. It does have some properties, but they're more on the kind of 3-star level, maybe 4-. Again, some are very nice. Personally been to, slept there. So if people want to be there, that's fine. During the summer, it's important to understand that at night it can get very rowdy with, music on some of the beach clubs and things like that. So we kind of prefer to stay at this incredible restore palazzo. Do we have a video for this one? We're going to show you a quick video, and then, go to Il Poetto to relax and have your time.
Buongiorno a tutti, io sono Michele. Faccio il lavoro più bello del mondo, mi occupo di accoglienza. Nello specifico ci troviamo all'interno del Palazzo Boyle, un palazzo storico che si trova nel distretto di Castello, proprio nel centro storico di Cagliari. Si tratta di una dimora storica, intanto non di un hotel, all'interno del quale abbiamo organizzato degli spazi proprio come residenza per viaggiatori. Il piacere di lavorare in una residenza storica è che l'ospite, il protagonista del viaggio, sarà lui stesso a riscrivere la storia durante il suo soggiorno, occupandosi delle camere che hanno, per esempio, non dei nomi, ma appunto un trascorso. Al momento attuale ci troviamo nel salone delle feste, dove la famiglia nobile proprietaria del palazzo organizzava i ricevimenti, e questo contraddistingue proprio la filosofia di accoglienza che abbiamo voluto ricreare per accogliere i nostri ospiti. Palazzo Boyle è nato nel 1840, è stato costruito appunto da un generale, fatto costruire dal generale Boyle, di origini franco-spagnole. Il suo intento fu quello non di costruire una residenza, ma di costruire proprio un baluardo della città. Si erge sopra il bastione di Saint-Rémy e domina il mare verso sud. La maggior parte delle nostre camere, direi più del 90%, hanno tutte vista sul mare, spesso con doppia angolazione. Per noi è un motivo d'orgoglio sapere che all'interno del palazzo è compenetrata una torre medievale. È una torre pisana del 1300, quindi quando Boyle pensò di costruire il palazzo decise di costruirlo attaccandosi a questa torre medievale che è la Torre del Leone. La Torre del Leone ormai è compenetrata nel palazzo, quindi i nostri ospiti possono anche godere di un soggiorno all'interno della stessa. Non vediamo l'ora di vedervi qua, di darvi il benvenuto qui a Palazzo Boyle. Spero presto.
All right, let me make sure I close this so no background music is going to... Okay, great. So towards the end of that video, you may have noticed a very big terrace. That's right outside of this hotel. The hotel entrance is literally right off of that terrace, and that has one of the most beautiful views over the city. The hotel itself, it's located in a kind of like a nice quiet area, but you're literally, except for the terrace, but of course the terrace empties out in the evening. And then you're literally located just a stone throw away from all the restaurants, markets in Cagliari, cooking class that we're going to see. This accommodation, I want to say the smallest room is probably 45 square meters, which is like
big, it's huge.
What's 45 square meters? Anybody help me out here? Very, very big. So we try to book for our clients anything from 30 up. And again, the smallest, most of the rooms here are about 60 square meters, but the smallest ones are probably 45. Again, really, really beautiful place. And some of the things, they also have a gym, they have an elevator. So again, with accessibility, Cagliari itself, it's a very hilly city. It does have a lot of hills if you're going to restaurants, shops, but this accommodation is accessible. So they have an elevator and they have a coffee shop. They don't have a full restaurant, but they had an on-site coffee shop that they partner with downstairs. And it's the most amazing, Italian breakfast you can ever imagine. So again, some of the experiences here, really spending 3 or 4 nights here, it's going to feel like not enough time, right? Especially if they want to go to Il Poetto and get a beach club there for a day or two. But one really cool experience that they can do here, it's a Blue Zone cooking class. They start with a visit at the market, and then they make their way to the restaurant of this woman, Maria, who is originally from one of the Blue Zone villages. And she, just like many other people, left, went to London, New York, worked all over the world, and then decided to come back to continue her family traditions and to really bring awareness of why people in the Blue Zone villages are living. Exactly. So she actually, we didn't put it on here because it would require additional nights, but she actually does have a program when she takes people to stay with her for a couple of nights in the village, in the Blue Zone village of Seulo. She takes, of course, half of the people in the town are relatives, some that make, speck and prosciutto, other, of course, with pecorino. So that if you have people that are really interested in that fully cultural immersion experience, that 2-night in Seulo could also be a great option. But a restaurant is right in town. Even if the people don't want to do this experience and they want to go eat, a reservation is always recommended.
Oh, my friend.
Another amazing experience that we like to give voice to is this pecorino experience with this partner, Rino, that I met through Slow Food, and he doesn't speak a word of English. So we always send a guide. And
he speaks Sardo also.
Yes, but we can barely understand him in Italian. No, I'm kidding. But he owns 200 hectares of land, which we're going to show you in a brief reel in a second. And he has no idea. He kept telling me about these panoramic rocks that he wanted to take us to. And when we got there, of course, his cheese making facility is in the town of Scalaplano, which is about an hour away from Cagliari. So this is a good day trip experience. And then you go from your car into a 4x4 or a Jeep type place, and you start going in those like dirt roads up and down for about 25 to 30 minutes, depending on who's driving. And then you get to his properties. He's got 200 sheep on 200 hectares of land. Guys, this doesn't happen. I mean, there's a lot of pecorino factories across the island, which are massively produced. We, like Jonathan said, as Romans, we eat a ton of pecorino. It all comes from a lot of massively produced places in Sardegna. Unfortunately, there's not everybody's still farming the land the way that they used to do it centuries ago. Rino is. He wakes up in the morning, goes and milk his sheep all the way until 2 or 3 a.m. because it's only him and 200 sheep.
Yeah, and it's not only that. He continued to do that in a way to preserve a very, very old tradition. We're gonna see on the video. So.
Buongiorno, sono Rino Farci e sono un produttore di un formaggio unico al mondo, si chiama Shrida. Questo formaggio viene prodotto da pecore di razza sarda che pascolano allo stato brado. Vivono in uno stato di benessere animale, sempre protetti da un gruppo di pastori maremmani. Il latte che si ottiene viene trasformato in un prodotto unico. Vi invito a venire ad Escalaplano per conoscere queste tradizioni millenarie. A presto, ciao.
I don't know this.
Okay.
Okay, so I actually put the brown video on here. This is the short reel. We do have a full video that I'm gonna send you as part of when we do our follow-up, and it shows the panoramic rocks where he brings his milk pots, and you know, we take clients there and they get to, if they want, also milk the sheep, and then they get to make the cheese in front of them, and then they get to eat on top of this amazing
Yeah, and
panoramic
something
rock.
important, it's everything manual. And he continued to do in the same way his family is doing from the last 1,000 years.
Wow.
Because his family, he's from there. Like, he's not someone coming 2 centuries ago. No, he's from here, from Escalaplano. So his family just create this old and preserve this old tradition. So it's a very authentic experience.
Yeah. And he's actually a partner, guys. I mean, again, hopefully, you know, we don't want any of this information to go public, to go everywhere, because we try to be very careful about who we share those places with. His property is not gated. So occasionally there are some of the locals, which is fine, but like he said, there's been groups of maybe Asian tourists that have come. The road is so narrow, you can only park 1 car. That day he could not get to milk his sheep because these people parked in the middle of the way to go hiking, do whatever. So we're actually trying to help him understand, 1, how valuable this place that he has, how special it is, and 2, make sure that we protect it. We protect it from cleaning up trash all the time, from people that may come through to hike. And so, you know, if you're interested, stay tuned with this story, because we're really trying to help him grow, but grow in a way that it's sustainable for both him, the land, and the animals, especially.
And preserve all this tradition. It's part of what we do to help our partner to preserve this tradition, because mass tourism, it starts to killing this old tradition. Yeah. So we really work in this way with our partners.
And one last thing I'll say, and then I'll move on, I promise. While of course this is on a very hiking, not treacherous, but like hiking location, the car can get all the way pretty much onto the rock. So we have had people that were in their 70s, you know, maybe bad knees and couldn't really hike. So it's still doable without doing the walk around the sheep. And
you can arrive with the car.
Yeah, exactly. You can arrive on top of the rock with the car. Just don't go tell people, please, to go there themselves. Okay, so again, another experience that could be done in the 3 or 4 nights.
We are back in Cagliari now.
Yep, we're back in Cagliari. Is hiking La Sella del Diavolo, which is that promontory at the end, one side of the beach of Il Poetto. It's really beautiful. You can get down to the water from the hike. The hike is not difficult, but it is, you know, you want to be a good hiker.
Yeah, it's a little bit wild.
Yeah, it's a little bit wild. Again, very few people, mainly locals, go there. You can hike down to some like nudist beaches, of course. Keep that in mind when we're speaking to an American audience. But it's a really, really cool hike, especially to do at sunset. And you do go through some ancient ruins that are along the hike as well. But again, always go with a guide, because it's not well marked. There are some areas that if you don't know where you're going, you know, you can slip off the cliff. So another amazing experience. There's, of course, so many boats in Cagliari, and if people want the yacht, that's fine. But with the yacht, they're not gonna get close to all of the amazing caves and coves that are along the island. So we prefer a much slower experience on this wooden 60-year-old boat with an amazing guide that it becomes your entertainment on board. And they actually put 2 paddle boards on the side of the boat so that you can get close. You're within a kind of a reserve, a nature reserve, so you can get close to the same places that you would hike down from that hike, which you cannot reach, by the way, just driving up or normal walk. You would have to either hike or go there by boat. And some of those scale coves are some of the most beautiful.
And they also propose the food. The food is from Bosa. It's in the center, middle of the Sardegna, and they propose local products. So it's also an cuisine experience. I mean, it's
oh, absolutely. Yeah, food, drinks on board. If you're curious, go ahead and Google later Cala Figuera and Cala Mosca. I mean, you'll see that the Emerald Coast is nothing more in terms of beaches. The beaches are not more beautiful there. You're just gonna get a lot more people and a lot more expensive hotels. All right, so we're almost to the end here. We made it a little bit early. So we do have a small group trip coming up to Sardegna this fall. As you know, all of our small group trips are perfect for both couples, you know, obviously people that have the flexibility to travel off season. We always also have solo travelers that join. So it's always a good mix. We have, because we're using the 5 rooms at the lighthouse that we'll be staying at, we only have 2 rooms left. So if you have somebody that you think wants to travel in the fall, again, budget-wise, with a small group of 8 to 10 people, that budget goes a lot further. We do provide a 10% commission to our travel advisor partner, and the dates are September 14th through the 22nd. So again, when we go to the winery, chances are they're gonna be during harvest season. It's kind of at the week where all the kids have gone back to school, and no kids are going to be at the lighthouse anyways. But even when we go to Cagliari, and we do a combination of the lighthouse and Cagliari. So if you have anybody interested, let us know, and we'd be happy to share the full itinerary. Do we have, okay, I see we have one question here. Which airline is flying there from New York?
They didn't have choose the airline yet. The only thing they have choose, it's like they are leaving from New York and Philadelphia, and the airport in Sardegna should be Olbia and Cagliari.
Great. Yeah, so it will make access to both of those areas really easy. Hopefully not too easy, but yeah, those are just some
just
of
to know, the Olbia, it's in the north of Sardinia.
Yeah. So these are just some of the highlights. Again, this information for the small group trip is on our website, and if you're interested, happy to share the full itinerary with you. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'm gonna get you out of here a little bit earlier today.
Maybe I can add something more about, we talk a lot about all the region during these webinars, and Sardinia, it's a very different region. It's a very wild area, and I think it's very particular, and they propose a very different kind of experience from the other regions. So I think it's a good place to propose to people who they are looking for something with high standard quality, but also to have a quiet place and just relax and just can chill because it's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, obviously we love Sicily, we love Puglia, but as you've probably noticed, they're getting a lot of attention the last couple of years, you know, post-COVID. So some of those places do run the risk of getting overrun by tourists. So of course, our next webinar is going to be a road trip through Western Sicily. We're going to take you to some, again, off the beaten path, hidden gems, some of our favorite places there. But Sardegna, it's really a great alternative. You're not compromising on views, on hospitality, 5-star level, on food and people. You know, that Southern hospitality stays that you find in Sicily and Puglia stays very much true in Sardegna. Okay, doing a self-directed FAM, how long would we need to fully experience the island at travel advisor speed? Or is it just for the south or the whole island?
Because it's a big island.
because I would say just for the south, the whole island.
Just you to know, to go to the top, to the bottom, it's like 5-hour drive.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. I mean, this is the same question when people say with Sicily, right? And even Puglia, although I find that Puglia is a little bit more contained. I mean, honestly, to fully experience, of course, you're not going to cover everything, but to fully experience your accommodations, your cultural immersion, I would say at least 10 days, at least. And that would be moving very much at travel advisor's speed. But you would be able to hit some different areas of the areas. And keep in mind too, the island of Sardegna, people usually only go to the coastline, but a lot of the traditions, a lot of the culture and not indigenous, but how the people still live the same way that they used to live hundreds of years ago, that doesn't happen on the coastline, on the developed areas. That happens inland.
Yeah,
and they
all the
are
blue zone are in the mainland.
the blue zone, yes,
And
and they're
all the traditional food are from the mainland, like the culurgiones, the porceddu, the
absolutely.
seadas, they are all from the mainland.
Yeah, so summer, 10 days, you could do it. But again, if you're getting in some of the inland areas, just keep in mind driving times, because, you know, you don't want to, even though driving is part of the experience, there's no highways, you're going to pass by all the sheep and your sheep are going to block the
Yes.
traffic. That's the traffic in Sardegna. But yeah, just focus on the quality of some of the different areas rather than, you know, the quantity. So hopefully that answers the question. This was 10 years ago, yeah. Well, great. Hopefully come back again. It's starting to get some attention. Obviously, not as much as Sicily and Puglia have in the last couple of years. So if you do have a chance to explore it earlier, because I feel like in the next couple of years, you can see in the new hotels that are popping up and the places that are getting restored, right? They're doing that because they're seeing, especially with the flights from the US, that tourism is starting to really take hold, especially from places like America, Australia, Canada. So great. Any other questions? Wonderful. So thank you guys for your patience also through the little tech issues. Next webinar will be July 9th, so post 4th, and then we'll be taking a summer break for August for sure, perhaps also September. When you do get the email with the recording, please go ahead and fill out that feedback form. And even if you want to skip all the questions, but just let us know what are some of the topics that you're seeing that you want cover or that your clients are asking you about. That's kind of what we use to choose the different areas. Of course, we could do hundreds of webinars, but let us know so that we can put this on the list for you. Thank you all so much. Have a great day.
Ciao ragazzi.
Thanks, Karen. Thanks, Jonathan.
Ciao.
That was great.
Thank
Ciao.
you, Tracy. Thank you so much. How do I end the webinar now?
It's a good question.
Okay, hold on. I really need a tech. Oh, end.